Week because of America 250, the big celebration coming up this weekend for July 4th. But until we get to that point, we're going strong here for our show. Of course, we'll be here from 1 to 4 p.m. each day. I'm your host, Anita Blanton, and I'll be with you throughout that time. Let's talk a little bit about what we are working on for this first hour that we have here together. Listen, I mean, we have waded through quite the winter season, and then the extended winter that was like spring that still felt like winter. And when are the warmer temperatures going to come around? When are the why are we still wearing jackets? All of those things. And now the heat is coming through with abundance this week. In fact, heat warnings. Okay, so we want everyone to be super cognizant of what's going on in terms of our weather this week. We want everyone to be safe. There are cooling centers in our area to help people get through the heat that we're expecting this week. I mean, yes, if you look outside, people aren't running around having to put on jackets. They're not running around having to tout umbrellas with them everywhere they go. But the heat comes with its own new types of warnings and watches and all of those things as we give you this live look outside. I mean, it is still a little overcast, but this is the air you can wear outside, essentially. I mean, it is super humid today and will be throughout the rest of the week, and some of the feels like temperatures for this week get pretty far up there in the triple digits, 105 all the way up to 110. So we're going to spend a lot of time talking about the heat, safety precautions, the dangers, all of those things. Although, yes, there are plenty of great things that are going to be happening, especially this weekend and all the way leading up to this weekend. And we know people are going to be outside, have been eager to, but right now we've got to focus on the safety concerns as well. All right, so we're going to talk about that also, and that's going to be in each hour. We'll talk about nature's Ozempic, the latest viral trend here that's taken over social media that has people turning to a gelatin dubbed nature's Ozempic to curb their appetites with a GLP-1 prescription. We hear so much about GLP-1s, so we're going to get into this with a nutritionist to help you out. If that's even something, if you've seen nature's Ozempic online, if you've considered it, before you try, you should listen to the experts on this so that you can make sure that you're, doing things that could actually help you and not hurt you. All right, that's coming up around 1:45. Really interesting conversation we're going to have around 1:30 with our friends over at Northwestern and the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab. So obviously Shirley Ryan is always doing wonderful work over there, helping people who have experienced strokes and mobility issues to get back on their feet or really find ways of being more physically able to do things, even if there have been some setbacks in their life. So we're going to be talking to them about this new technology, a new feature from Apple. It's Apple Vision Pro for wheelchair controls from your eyes. And I gave the example to my colleague Terrence Lee that there are a lot of people, say, with ALS who in their minds could still think through things, but don't have the ability with their bodies physically to be able to get around. So they may be in a wheelchair. I saw this in my own family, and so I'm just giving it from what I know, that those types of technology to help continue to keep people mobile or more independent. That's probably the best word. More independent, but yes, mobile from the standpoint of a wheelchair. Game changers. And so the fact that Northwestern is even helping out to power this technology forward is really astounding. We're going to get into how they are helping Apple coming up around 1:30. Really looking forward to that conversation. Also, we know that barbers are huge help in so many ways. Of course, yes, to looking good, to feeling good, but they could also be a part of the first line of defense when it comes to your health, and especially when it comes to like seeing spots on your skin, right? Because they're right up there. They're seeing you. They know what was there. If they're very perceptive, they know what may be there right now that wasn't there a few visits ago. So they may be seeing things develop before you even see it. And we're going to talk to the author of a new study on that particular topic. But we're starting here with what affects your pocketbooks, because affordability is one of those issues of the year that has really risen up the ranks, as we're all in one way or another feeling the effects of many different things that tug at our budgets. And so the interesting thing here is that the Wall Street Journal ran a major story, and it comes back to new data showing that people are overpaying, possibly concentrating financial vulnerability on borrowers. If you own a home, if you own property. So let's get into this now with a principal data reporter from Bankrate, Alex Gailey. This really kind of hurts when you say 87% of American mortgage borrowers likely overpaid for their home loans last year. How did that happen?
You're certainly right. Seeing that 9 in 10 homeowners are overpaying for their mortgage, it tells you that the mortgage process from start to finish is not set up for borrowers to easily compare fees and rates and get that best mortgage. And there's a few reasons this is happening. The majority of people don't know that they should shop around for their mortgage. They assume that their loan terms are the same with every lender, and that's just not the case. And when they do comparison shop, which is a small percentage of buyers out there, they don't know what to look for, and they don't have a benchmark to compare these rates to. And then the third thing that's happening is that a lot of the lenders that borrowers are going to are based on recommendations from realtors, family, and friends, which makes a lot of sense, but then that takes you out of the equation of shopping for your mortgage yourself, and you're potentially missing out on the best deal out there. And we do see in our research that by not comparing rates, that's costing the typical borrower over $3,300 every year, and that does add up over a 30-year loan, over $78,000.
Wow. And what was it about last year that, kind of put us in that territory versus years before? Have we typically seen that type of high number of borrowers who may be overpaying before?
So homeowners have been overpaying for their mortgage for several years, a long time now. It's just that we have very limited research on this topic. And so at Bankrate, we decided to dive into, are people getting the best mortgage rate they could be out there? And we discovered that 9 in 10 are in fact not. And there's a lot of other supplemental research over the years that has shown that people are not aware that they should be shopping around for their mortgage, almost like if you were shopping around for a car. And this is what we're calling the hidden homeownership tax. And in a housing market that is defined by stubborn prices and higher rates, this is one of the only levers left for buyers to lower the cost of buying a home. And so it's incredibly important that we are encouraging and giving consumers the information tools they need to make those comparisons. And it's on the mortgage industry as well to make it more transparent whether people are getting a good deal or not.
You all's research shows that the highest earners often pay the steepest price. How is that?
So financial security in this case can work against you, which sounds counterintuitive, but the hidden homeownership tax is hitting almost every borrower in the country across age, income, different types of loan. But if you're a higher income borrower, you're more likely to be overpaying for your mortgage. And that's because you face less certainty, you face less uncertainty when it comes to mortgage approval odds. And you might not feel as inclined to shop as hard because you don't feel as nervous about getting approved for that loan, and you're more likely to rely on those banking relationships or your relationship with your realtor. So that convenience comes at a cost, and it's completely reasonable. The home buying process can be overwhelming, so it completely makes sense that a lot of borrowers out there are just going with the first option.
Okay, so you mentioned a lot of times people don't know what to look for. Let's talk about what it is people should be looking for.
So, a lot of people focused on the interest rate, and that is incredibly important. That is going to make up a bulk of the cost that you'll be paying for that mortgage over time. But you also need to be looking at the upfront fees that this lender may be charging you. Every lender has a different business model, different cost structures. And so, you don't want to assume that every lender is going to cost the same for you. That's why it's important to shop. You could potentially negotiate those upfront fees, those discount points. There's a lot of line items there in the beginning that is important to take a close look at other than just your interest rate. You really want to be looking at your APR. Your APR takes into account the interest rate as well as those upfront fees, and you want to really be comparing that at the end of the day to see how much you are paying for this mortgage so that, again, you can avoid overpaying.
And right now, where is the rate, the typical rate, the average rate for fixed year mortgage, 30 year?
So right now it's around at that 6.5%, and we have been seeing mortgage rates have a lot of volatility this year because of the geopolitical uncertainty. And so it's really important that, a lot of people have their eyes right now on mortgage rates. They're anticipating them to go lower as the Fed weighs whether they want to cut interest rates or keep them the same. And so mortgage rates have been definitely on a little bit more of a volatile cycle than they have been in the last few years, just in the last 6 months alone.
And so let's say someone didn't shop around initially. What are some of their options now?
So if you didn't shop around, that's okay. You still have the ability to refinance. Now, you're going to want to consider a couple different factors when you're thinking about refinancing, but a surprising statistic that we found in our research is that 79% of refinancers still overpay for their mortgage. So what that suggests is that those homeowners are still not shopping around enough and getting the best rate. They're likely just going to that first recommendation that they're being given. If you want to refinance, of course, you're going to need to weigh whether you're going to be in that home for much longer. If you're not, then you probably don't want to refinance. But if you are going to be in that home for a few more years, then you want to get your rate at least 0.75% lower than it is now to start entertaining that. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it is a good threshold to keep in mind if you want to refinance and just make your cash flow open up a little bit more.
Are there some other things that people should be keeping in mind, either those who are in the market now for a new property or those who, maybe seeing this and thinking, well, I need to reassess some things?
It doesn't hurt to get started earlier rather than later when you're shopping for a mortgage. Get out there, start having conversations with mortgage brokers, lenders, start getting a feel for who you're liking and what their fees and interest rate is looking like for you as a borrower. Of course, ideally, you're making those comparisons on the same day when you're actually in the point of making action and getting that loan. But it doesn't hurt to do some research a few weeks ahead of when you're seriously looking to buy a home. And then if you're in the market for refinancing, there's no rush when you're shopping. You can take a lot more time looking at that. And of course, you need to look at mortgage rates, but I think really it's encouraging people to get started sooner rather than later. And ask questions. Ask your broker to explain, why is this fee that and why is my interest rate that? I think the more questions you ask, the more you'll understand why you're being charged what you're charged and how you can get that better mortgage deal.
Well, thank you so much for helping us out today. When you start the week with you're probably overpaying for your mortgage, it's not a good place to start. But having the information to move forward is really important too. So thank you. We appreciate it, Alex.
Of course. Thank you for having me here.
Take care. It's about 1:14, everyone. And just, to kind of put I don't know if this is the cherry on top, but just to make it even more clear here, according to their research, for the typical borrower, I just want to make it plain, okay? The complacency from not shopping around, they say, compounds to more than $78,000 over the life of your 30-year loan. $78,000 more than what you should be paying. That's pretty steep. So maybe it's time to shop around. Maybe it's time to at least look at the facts and the figures for your particular loan and see if maybe you need to reassess some things yourself. All right, let's take a quick 2-minute break before we get into our next discussion about barbers and skin cancer. Okay, welcome back, everyone. About 1:17 right now, and as I was saying earlier, a really interesting study here about barbers being able to be a part of the first line of defense, essentially, from health issues that might creep up that they would be able to spot in your skin. And so we have Helen Fleming from the University of Portsmouth who's joining me now to delve a little bit deeper into this study. And you are the author of it, so you know best. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
What made you even want to look into this?
So I did originally train to be a therapeutic radiographer, and there was actually, whilst I was helping to treat patients with skin cancer, I noticed some similarities. Most of them, their skin cancers had occurred in the head and neck area, in places that would be difficult for them to spot themselves. But most of them had smartly cut hair, and this is when I considered hairdressers and barbers could play a role in this area.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those studies where it's like, yeah, of course they could. You know, I mean it's something right in front of our face that we probably just didn't consider looking further into. But if you think about like dentists being a part of your first line of defense for even heart issues, when it comes to things they may be able to spot in your mouth, of course it would work the same for someone who is working in your hair or with your scalp to be able to see things maybe before you would get to them. So what was, as you were doing this study, what were some of the things that were coming to you?
So in the original study, only 5% of the hairdressers and barbers that I surveyed had any training in skin cancer awareness. However, were checking their customers regularly. Over a third of them had advised the customer of something suspicious and encouraged them to get it checked. And of those advising customers, 39% had had a customer come back with a diagnosis of skin cancer. So although they hadn't had the training, they were discovering early skin cancers for their customers. And particularly because over 85% of skin cancers occur in the head and neck area, they are the people who are likely to see them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a good caveat there that, you know, I gave the comparison of like a dentist who's seeing things in your mouth, but that is a doctor. You know, that is someone with medical experience who is looking in your mouth versus someone who may not have that medical training to actually know what they're seeing. They may see something different but not know what they are seeing.
Yeah, but they're noticing a change. And most of us will see our barber and hairdresser far more frequently than we'll see a dentist or a doctor. And actually, we trust them as well. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been with my hairdresser for decades. Mm-hmm. And you will travel miles to see your hairdresser because they're like a friend. And I think that men will also pick the same barber because they know they'll give them a good cut. And in my experience, hairdressers and barbers care about more than just how their customers look.
Absolutely. I mean, it's often we think about, okay, look good, feel good, but it is deeper than that. And we've done many stories about like mental health that improves through community in barber or salon settings, but this would be in along that same vein of these are people in your trusted circle, really.
Yeah, they're perfect advocate, particularly for men. I was doing a little bit of research about your own skin cancer incidence in the USA, and men are 85% more likely to die from skin cancer in the USA than women. And that's because they tend to present later. And if their barber could encourage them to perhaps wear sunscreen, protect their skin, introduce that sunscreen protection products into their daily routine, you could bring that down.
And so you, in what I'm seeing here, there is this connection to a charity called Skin, and it's SKCIN, where training is offered. Training courses are offered for barbers so that they can understand melanoma symptoms. Is that a part of what you're hoping comes from your study, that maybe more training courses like this come about so that, yes, this front line of defense can actually be what they have the potential to be for people?
Well, the cancer charity Skin, or the Karen Clifford Skin Cancer Charity, are fantastic. They do a great job of raising awareness. They do offer training for hairdressers and barbers, as well as lots of other professionals, but it does cost a small amount of money. And the original training survey found that put some barbers off of doing the course. So we have recently created a skin cancer awareness animated short video, which we're hoping to release next year, and that will be a free resource. And it's 2 minutes, so it doesn't take up barbers' time. So it kind of addressing like the findings.
It's huge. I think this is wonderful. As you were learning more and seeing more in your study, what did it mean to you? I mean, what did it say you need to do as a next step in your studies?
So for me, I think it would be to introduce as standard skin cancer awareness education for anybody, not just barbers and hairdressers, but anybody who deals with the general public and their skin. Tattoo artists, physiotherapists, anybody that's nail technicians, so that they can recognize the warning signs of early skin cancer and advise that person to go and get checked, because it costs a small fortune apart from anything else. In the UK, it's around £465 million a year. I believe in the USA, it's about $9 billion that is costing the country in skin cancer treatment. So catching them early obviously reduces the cost and the burden of treatment on that person. Preventing them from happening in the first place is the ideal, though. So maybe sort of helping to improve skin cancer protection behaviors, particularly amongst men.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit later on in our show even more about that in terms of the behaviors to even prevent this type of diagnosis from even happening. I think it's just so important. And as you were kind of rattling off some of the other professions, the people that are again working with us on a regular basis who could be a part of catching things, I thought, wouldn't it be awesome if there was some type of course when people are in a barber school or in a cosmetology school that instructed people on this?
Yeah, and have it as standard. It should be taught to her. We should all check our skin once a month, so we should be aware ourselves of what to look for, the ABCDE of signs and symptoms. But there are areas of our body that are difficult for us to check, and so it will always be important, I think, for barbers and hairdressers to be involved in this. But again, physiotherapists, chiropractors, podiatrists, so many people see parts of your body that you don't really.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Helen, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for doing this study, first and foremost. I hope that more people will see it and take it and build upon it.
Thank you. I hope so too. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you.
Absolutely. You take care.
Thank you.
Wonderful study there, and it will be very interesting to see if those types of courses are started. If more schools start to embrace them and see the potential that's there for those who are coming into many of these fields to help people in a real life-saving way in the years to come. So before we get into, we're going to take a 2-minute break in just a few moments before we get into our next discussion, which is also another one that is a game changer here about Northwestern being a part of really driving forward technology for the Apple Vision Pro, a wheelchair control feature. I want to go over a couple of things that are trending on our website right now. I'm sorry, everybody. We're not reporting on a decision from the Bears yet, but it's just another development. So we're going to, we have promised that we will let you know when we say we're going to keep you up to date. That means we're going to let you know all of the developments that happen along the way. And so who knows when we're actually going to have shovels in the ground that says this is the future home of the Chicago Bears. But there were some shovels in the ground to say we need to test this soil for the possible home of the Chicago Bears, and that was in Hammond over the weekend. So, we had heard a lot about the Wolf Lake area, that this was the possible site that the Bears were looking at. Months and months ago, we saw some of the Bears, top brass that were out there looking in that area. Well, now they are evaluating the site a little bit more, maybe not in the specific area that we thought before. Obviously, there were a lot of comments, so there was a lot of conversation between seeing the top brass out there and then the Bears saying right after the Illinois legislative session that they were moving forward with their plans for Indiana, although not shutting the door for Illinois. Between that time, there was a lot of discussion about the soil possibly not being feasible for something like a stadium development there. And so it looks like maybe this is a second site that they're looking at right now, still near the Wolf Lake golf course and whatnot. But they did do some digging over the weekend and looking at that. They say that testing is routine, so we're not jumping through hurdles or anything like that, hoops and hurdles over this development, but it is a step, right? The team still weighing stadium options, Hammond, Arlington Heights. Yes, I know McCook said last week, hey, take a look at us. We have a site right here that you could look at. It's a long shot possibility, but they took the onus upon themselves to drive. The mayor, and I think it was the city manager, drove on up to Hallis Hall to say, hey, we have a proposal for you to look at too. I don't know if that's going to go anywhere, but officially, the Bears have only said Hammond and Arlington Heights. Yes, that doesn't include Chicago. So officially, only Hammond and Arlington Heights. And the Illinois legislators are still saying it's a possibility they will come back together for a special session before the end of the summer. So far, we don't have any hard and fast, here's when they're coming back together type of news to give you. This is just the latest development here, that they are indeed testing the land as a routine. They're in Hammond near the Wolf Lake site. This is, again, just kind of keeping that debate, keeping the fire burning, okay? Keeping the fire burning on this particular debate over where the future home of the Bears may be. We have a lot of information, we put all of these stories together on our website, and so you can click through and click through and click through on this particular subject as we have been talking to stadium experts, Mark Gannis and many others who have weighed in here as to their thoughts on this latest development. And again, that's on our website, fox32chicago.com right now. I'll give you one more before we take our break here. Really unfortunate to hear that a car crashed into an area. This was a fire hydrant in a particular area. Now we know, we often see, accidents in throughout the city, but this was a car that went into a fire hydrant and ended up killing 2 people and injuring several other people. And so we have more information on our website about this as well. It's one of our trending topics online. I mean, we have some of the video from this scene. You just wouldn't think you would see something like this from a car hitting a fire hydrant. So it makes you wonder about many other factors that we don't have yet confirmed here. But 2 people and 4 others that were injured after this crash. This was at 47th and State Street late last night. A 25-year-old man and a 22-year-old woman were ejected from the vehicle and pronounced dead there at the scene. The driver was not injured. Who was not injured was taken to the hospital just for evaluation, taken into custody then, and charges are pending here. So we have a bit of what we do know, a bit of what we don't know yet in terms of the possible charges. The police haven't specified what charges the driver may be facing, but a very unfortunate situation that, again, kind of started with a crash into a fire hydrant, but ended up being way more than that. That's on our website, as well as much more that I'll get into as we go on when our time here on Chicago Live. But let's take a quick 2-minute break before we hop into our next discussion. Welcome back, everyone. It's 1:35 right now, and prepare to be amazed at just how far technology is going. And we love a local connection to the many things that we see throughout the world. You know, there are so many bright minds right here in Chicagoland that contribute to incredible developments. And so that is the case for this new Apple feature, this Apple Vision Pro wheelchair control feature that's going to help so many people. I mean, it really is taking accessibility to a new level here. It features this or enables users to drive powered wheelchairs with their eyes. I think it's just incredible. And Northwestern Technology is going to help drive this forward. We have Dr. Brenna Argel, the director of Argel Lab with the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab, who is joining me now. Thank you so much for what you all do on a regular basis to help so many people, and for joining us here today.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I just can't say enough from a positive standpoint about the possibilities that I can even envision coming from this. But give us some of the details here.
Sure. So In my lab, which is housed at the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab in Northwestern University, we have been leading a project under the NSF, that's funded under the NSF, that's called Project Drive. And one of the products of Project Drive is that we have developed, with our partners at Lucy Mobility, an API and a communication standard for powered wheelchairs, a digital communication standard. Now, the context here is that normally for any kind of an input device, like a joystick, to communicate with a powered wheelchair, currently that happens over a 9-pin DB9 cable. So it's a printer cable. It's serial. You can't use Bluetooth. You can't use USB. You cannot bring this communication standard into the digital age. What we have developed is a communication protocol that allows for digital communication. So now you can think of all of the different sorts of interfaces that people use to operate computers, that people use to operate their games, do gaming, all the different ways that people outfit themselves in custom ways. You can now use those interfaces to drive your powered wheelchair. And we were open source because we wanted adoption. We want the industry to adopt this because we want that accessibility to be out there for everyone. So the fact that Apple has adopted this with their Vision Pro is so exciting for us because they have built their new Vision Pro wheelchair drive, which is going to be released fall, they expect. They have built this on top of what we call our wheelchair digital interface, this communication protocol that I was talking about. So the Vision Pro is talking to the wheelchair the control system through our communication protocol.
I mean, how is it that your eyes can, that this technology can pick up from your eyes what you are trying to communicate with people?
Mm-hmm. So typically the way that happens is that you need to track the pupils of the eye, or you somehow track where the eye is looking on a screen. In this case, it would be the Vision Pro screen. And then it's that there is a sort of interface that maybe has different buttons on the screen, and by gazing at it, by fixating your gaze on that button, it's like a button click. So the actual interface for how the driving has happened, Apple is working on that. That's a part of their Vision Pro, that's their driving app. And then those, it might be that command is drive forward, turn to the right. There can be all different ways that you would design this. But in the end, it gets translated into a wheelchair control command, which for a joystick would maybe look like this, that you deflect the joystick forward in order to drive forward. You need to translate that into some kind of a command for the actual wheelchair control system. And that's where our technology comes in.
It's mind-boggling to me, and I think about, there was an former NFL player who announced today that he has ALS, and so even us having this conversation, I would think that people with ALS, this could be a game changer for them, but for so many others as well.
You actually hit the nail right on the head, because especially for progressive degenerative diseases, the kind of interfacing that you need over time changes. You go from being able to operate a joystick to perhaps using a head array where it's buttons in your headrest to operate your wheelchair. Maybe then you use a sip and puff, which is operated through respiration, it's a straw. And then eventually, when the only thing left that you can control reliably is your eyes, you move on to an eye gaze interface. And so with this technology we've developed, you can now seamlessly transition between all of these different interfaces without necessarily needing to go back to an ATP or someone who custom fits wheelchair interfaces. You can actually control all of this yourself. Actually, using this wheelchair digital interface, we have people operating their wheelchairs also with like a gaming controllers, like an Xbox controller. We have parents using an emergency stop with just a mouse clicker on pediatric wheelchairs. So all these different sorts of interfaces, and especially as abilities degrade, we want to be there to support people in whatever kind of interfacing works best for them.
In just studying this and the people that you worked with, I'm just seeing like worlds open through the possibilities here. But what was it like as you were actually seeing what the possibilities were before your eyes?
Well, we actually have 2 members of our team that are living with ALS, and so seeing the way that they innovate and the way that they can still write code using their eyes and communicate with all of us using their eyes, it's phenomenal. So eye gaze is actually a very, very rich communication modality. There's a lot of information that we can get from eye gaze, and using that to actually enable mobility is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I say it's mind-boggling, but like for you in the field that you're in, to watch technology progress to this point, what does it do to you?
Yeah. It's very inspiring. You know, as was mentioned at the start of this interview, my lab is situated inside of the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab, which is a rehabilitation hospital, and we treat all sorts of diagnoses, all levels of ability. And so the better that technology and interfacing can support the way that people want to communicate, especially with a disease like ALS, the mind is intact. And so being able to facilitate through interfacing and through technology the ability to get what's in someone's mind out into the world and communicate it to the world, or communicated to their assistive devices like a wheelchair, communicated to their loved ones, it's phenomenal to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And now that you all have taken this step and Apple is taking their step, what do you see from here? What's a next step?
So I think the next step is that we would love to see the wheelchair industry writ large adopt this protocol, so that we can start seeing makers and all the different ways that people custom outfit their computers, custom outfit their gaming rigs. We can see those being used to drive powered wheelchairs. The technology is now there, so people just need to run with it.
I think it is phenomenal, and I can't wait to see and witness again the changes, I think this is amazing. It really is. Thank you for what you all do, and can't wait to hear about the progress from here.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you about it. Thank you for your interest.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Please keep us updated.
Oh, will do, with pleasure.
Okay. All right. Take care. 143. And I think about, I had a cousin with ALS and just in those latter stages, how something like this could have been beneficial, or even in the fight that we watched for Mongo, right? The great Mongo here from the Chicago Bears, and his battle with ALS, and how this could have been something that was useful to him. And I've focused more on ALS, as she said. In my mind, it was something that would immediately be beneficial for people battling ALS, but there are so many other types of things that this could be useful for as well, that it really is encouraging to see technology be used in this type of way, and the study continue to advance to help people who they are still there. They are still there. They may not be able to move the way they used to, or speak even the way they used to, but they are still with you. And this will give them even more of a lifeline. So it's beautiful. Let's take a 2-minute break before we get into our next discussion about nature's Ozempic. Hey, welcome back, everyone. 1:47 right now. We're pressing on with our conversations here on Chicago Live, and we've got to talk about this trend on social media. I mean, there's always a new trend on social media. Some of them good, some of them concerning, and we're going to find out which adjective to ascribe to this nature's Ozempic, this gelatin that people are now using to curb their appetites without a GLP-1 prescription. Let's go ahead and bring in an expert on nutrition, and that would be Maggie Mihalchek. We always appreciate having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming back.
So excited to chat. Another day, another food trend.
Exactly. Another day, another food trend. What are your thoughts on this nature's Ozempic, this gelatin?
Yeah, so there's a lot of buzz about this one on TikTok. And while it's not as dangerous as some of the other ones that we've seen in the past, it's not necessarily something that you need to include in your diet. So there is really no such thing as nature's Ozempic. No food is really going to behave the same way as a medication does that targets our hormones that affect appetite, that targets brain signals that affect appetite. No food is really going to mimic that. The thing with gelatin, though, is it is a source of protein, so it can help to keep us fuller for longer. You can include it into your diet. It's not dangerous, it's not unhealthy, but it's not necessarily something you need. And like I said, it's not going to do the same things that Ozempic does.
Yeah, and so this particular trend involves mixing a spoonful of gelatin into warm water and then drinking it 15 to 30 minutes before a meal. And people have claimed in the videos that the beverage helps them to lose weight by forming a gel in the stomach and supposedly taking up space, signaling to the brain that you're full. Isn't that just the same as like when people say, well, drink some water before a meal, it's going to help you feel more full? Like that doesn't have anything to do with anything more prescriptive.
Right. It's along the same lines of that. It's along the same lines of if you also had something that was super high in fiber before a big meal, you would start to feel really full and then want to eat less of that meal because the fiber is just taking up space in your stomach and making you more satisfied, more satiating because it's high in fiber. So that's similar to what this is doing because it is a source of protein. But yeah, again, it's not acting like a medication would, and it's not something that you would need to add to your diet. I think a better approach, actually, if feeling more full is the goal, is to step back and zoom out and look at your entire day of eating. Look at breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and make sure they all have a source of protein, fiber, and healthy fat. This is going to help with satiety, help to keep us fuller for longer, help us to eat a little bit less and potentially lose weight if that is your goal.
And I mean, GLP-1s have become super popular. And it's one of those things. I mean, we just had a conversation about technology that's moving at rapid pace, that's helping people you never would have thought in ways that you never would have thought. We are a society that is obsessed with weight loss. And when we see things like a GLP-1 come out, it boosts in popularity, and then we start to get all of the actual details about it. The ones that are like, oh, this could help, and maybe you're hurting yourself from this standpoint.
Right. And that's why, too, it's so important to have those conversations with your doctor, with a dietitian, because there is so much misinformation on social media. And these days, TikTok trends blow up so quickly every single day. And, you could see something out there that is, again, one of those like dupes or a copycat or something claiming that it could behave like something else, a quick fix, if you will. And that may not be right for you, and it may not be the best idea for everybody to include into their diet. So you really need to put on sort of these goggles when looking at any of these social media trends that pop up, because they're not going to be right for everybody. And again, a lot of us might be looking for a quick fix that just doesn't really exist. What's more important is our eating patterns over time. What are you eating throughout the day? What does each meal and snack look like? Is it balanced? Is it nutritious? That is the best place to start.
And of course, as you mentioned, this Nature's Ozempic might not be something that is going to do a whole lot of harm, but at the same time, are you concerned? GLP-1s can be helpful for people with diabetes and certain things that a doctor would even prescribe it for, but are you concerned about the lack of conversation about eating disorders and things that could be attached that could make people want to adopt something like this Nature's Ozempic?
Yes, and that comes with every food trend that I see out there. I think, again, we get so excited about some of them. Like, some can be great to incorporate into the diet, and they're just meant to be fun, and that's all fine and fun. However, there does need to be more education when it comes to, should I be including that? Oh, it seems like it would be fine and no problem, but do I really need to do that? There is extra effort if you want to make the gelatin and all of this, and that's not necessarily necessary for everybody to do. And I just encourage everyone, when they see a social media trend, to just step back and try to gather more information or chat with a health professional before including it into their diet, especially stuff around Ozempic and weight loss.
Mm-hmm. And we're coming upon a holiday where people do like to, maybe overindulge in a lot of things. So while I have you here as a nutritionist, what are some things that you would say people need to keep in mind as we go toward the 4th of July holiday? And a lot of people are going to be, barbecue this, cook out that. Some things that you would give in terms of advice.
Yeah, I would say balance your plate as much as you can. Include the fun stuff that you want to enjoy in moderation, and then fill up with some produce. There's so much good produce in season in the summer, which is going to give you that good fiber for satiety. That's so important for our diet. So if you can include some color through vegetables and fruits on your plate, that's always a good idea during a holiday weekend. And then also, too, I know a lot of people's approach might be to skip breakfast, skip lunch, save up calories for the big barbecue at night. Instead of doing that, I would start the day with a balanced breakfast. This is going to allow you to make healthier choices throughout the day, to feel better, to feel more in control about what you want to eat, and not show up at the barbecue absolutely starving, looking for everything to eat. Another tip, too, would be make something you want to eat to bring to the party or the barbecue. Maybe it's a side salad. Maybe it's, a fruit plate. This helps everybody get in some fiber and some good nutritious foods as well.
Mm-hmm. And for those who are on GLP-1s, who may be going to some of these same locations, what are some things that they need to be concerned about?
Yeah, I would say for their concerns, it's always important to talk with a doctor or a dietitian that knows that they're taking the GLP-1 and sort of, understands their history and whatnot. I would say the same rules apply, eating in a balanced way, filling up with fruits and vegetables, enjoying some of those sweets in moderation. That paired with the GLP-1 is the best approach.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Just some things to think about. Again, there's, everyone's going to be out and about, and, even if you're in, there's probably some things that are going to be brought to you that you're not eating on a regular basis. And sometimes just things that you haven't had in a long time can be an issue if you haven't had them in a long time in your system. Thank you so much, Maggie. We always love having you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm. And have a great week and weekend yourself. She's a wealth of information, so love calling her back. And we'll try as often as possible to, when we spot these trends online, to be able to have discussions about them, to bring in the experts. We see so many different things online, and I think the overarching thing is just not to hop on every trend that you see online, of course, but where we can be of help in terms of calling in an expert to give you a little bit more context lost as to what we're seeing and how to adopt it or what to avoid, we'll try to do that and be a resource for you. But this GLP-1 or nature's Ozempic to curb appetites without a GLP-1 prescription, as she said, not necessarily the worst thing. We've seen some things that are just say no, not necessarily the worst thing, but also not necessarily something that you either need or that's going to be super effective in the overall game. Let's take a 2-minute break here before we set you up for where we're going in our 2 o'clock hour here on Chicago Live, starting a brand new week. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Coming up on 2 o'clock. So we're gearing up for our second hour here on Chicago Live. Let's go over a few of the things that we are anticipating in this second hour here together. We have adored the views of the eagles out on the East Coast. The babies, we took you to live pictures before when the babies were on the way, and then kind of watching them start to grow up. We get a little obsessed with it, but it's a healthy obsession. And so we now are coming upon, of course, America's 250th, and a lot of people are going to be setting off fireworks this weekend. Hopefully you're in an area where legal fireworks, let's be very clear. A lot of big displays, of course, for America's 250th that are going to be had over the weekend. And so there's actually, some concern here, a petition, in fact, pushing to cancel July 4th fireworks to protect the eagles. A lot of times as humans, we get so caught up in our stuff that we don't necessarily think through the ramifications for the animals, for your livestock, for, all of our birds and our feathered friends out there and what it could do to them. And so we're going to speak with the media manager for Friends of Big Bear Valley about the push that they're making, what could possibly be a middle ground if possible. I mean, I don't think we'll be able to shut down all the fireworks as a result of what they could do to animals, but what is there a middle ground? I don't know. We'll get into that discussion coming up around 2:45, as it is one of those weeks where there's going to be lots of fireworks. Also, have you all seen online a video of a wedding crash? And this wasn't just like any wedding crash, okay? We had Ed Sheeran, who was at Soldier Field. We showed you the setup for him on Friday. So Ed Sheeran was in our area. We knew that people were going to be out at Soldier Field rocking and having a good time with him. But he left Soldier Field, and actually someone reached out to him to say, hey, my sister is having a wedding, and it would be so cool if you just happen to stop by. It's so cool when celebrities do things like this. And so we are going to speak with that brother of the bride who reached out and actually had, it has everyone talking now about this viral video that has come from his sister's wedding. You go down in history as a great brother for sure for what took place there. That's around 2:30, 2:15 or so. We've got to have a conversation about a new lawsuit. Cook County Circuit Court clearing the green light here for a $1 billion consumer class action alleging that the city of Chicago imposed massive overcharges for water and sewer services. How long was this going on? How many people does this affect? Would you be getting any money back from it? We'll get into all of the details coming up here very shortly, but we're starting off this particular hour with, a bird of another feather, if you will. And this is a discussion about actually being able to translate, essentially, what birds are saying. We have Dr. Julie Ely from the University of California, Berkeley, who has joined us. And a little bird has helped her to be able to decode birdsong. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, hello.
So I mean, we hear birds chirping all of the time. You wonder, especially I think when I see like birds with their babies, like what are they saying to them? Or even if it's mating season, like what is that conversation like? But tell me about what you've been able to do.
Yeah, so what I've been able to do is to study a small little bird that comes from Australia, the zebra finch. So it's a very little songbird that we can find at several places in Australia, especially in the outback. And this is a species we can also record and study in the lab. And this is really great because then we can follow the individuals and record all the vocalizations they're producing over the course of their life. So it might be breeding season, it might be about chasing other individuals that are coming too close from their nest. It could be also alarming because there's a predator coming around. And so by studying the behavior jointly with the vocalizations they're producing, we can really start to understand what they are saying. And this is kind of similar to what you might be experiencing with your pet at home. If you have a dog or a cat, by getting acquainted to it, at some point you understand what it means compared to a meow or right? You kind of get it, right? It's the same thing with the bird. Spending so much time not close to them, you kind of understand what they are saying. So the first part of the research we conducted was really gathering all the vocalizations of that bird and decode, put some labels about what they mean. And then we brought that one step further. We actually asked the bird if we were correct in how we were interpreting the vocalizations. And so we did this by teaching them a little trick where they have to pick on a button to hear a vocalization. And then we are taking advantage of the same thing you guys are doing when you scroll through videos online, right? Until you go through things that you don't really interested in, and then you stop because you find something that is interesting and that is rewarding to you, and you watch this. And for birds, we're doing the same kind of system where they have to go through vocalizations that are not rewarded by seeds until they reach that specific vocalization, that call type that has a specific meaning, and then they're going to stop and listen to it. And using that system, we can actually test all the words in the repertoire of the bird. So we can, on one day, we are setting only the affiliative vocalizations to be rewarded, or only the aggressive vocalizations to be rewarded, and all the other ones are not. And you can see if the bird is actually stopping, refraining from interrupting the vocalizations that are non-aggressive calls every time it's hearing one. It means that it actually classifies the aggressive call as something that means something different than the rest of the words in their repertoire. So that's what we really, are bringing on the plate now in terms of animal and human interactions, we are starting to really crack the code, basically, of vocalizations.
Oh my goodness.
Soon enough, well, we're dreaming about a little bird robot that we can control as humans, and then that would interact with the birds, and they will interchange and talk together.
Yeah, where you would know like a full sentence instead of just a word, or you would really be able to have full communication.
Yeah, we're expecting to get to that point. Yep.
Wow. Okay, so
Pretty exciting.
what have people in your circle like? I mean, clearly you have a passion for this. Like, as you're telling people, your friends or family members, that you're getting some response here, what are they like? Like, how do they take this?
Well, usually people take it, this is just a small bird. How can they be smart, right? I think as humans, we are big animals ourselves. And so we're comparing, we're looking at other animals and through the lens of saying, well, if there's really little, there's no much things in their brain, so they must not be very smart. But in the end, I think we've overlooked a lot of smartness out there. And we can discover that even like little birds that has the brain of the size of, like a nut, is really showing some very interesting things. What is also kind of cool is that you are at a level of vocal interaction that is just the right level so we humans can understand what they're doing. I think it becomes more challenging when we work with primates, for instance, because it's very hard to be in the head of a primate, and they have more complex inner lives. So those are things that are more difficult for us as researchers and also as humans to capture. But we'll get there. I think this is just a first milestone. The zebrafinch is kind of the guinea pig, or like the mice of the vocal communication. We're starting with that species, and then progressively, step by step, we'll build up, and hopefully we can achieve communication with all the animals on this planet and better understand them.
And do you think it's, and I think this conversation has been had concerning dogs or other animals as well, but is it the word or the pitch that they're responding to?
Yeah, I think this. So clearly, we had proof that this is the word and not only the pitch. So if I give you an example, I'm asking them to classify different words, right? And some of those words are very close in terms of acoustics. So like they have an alarm call that sounds like ah, and a contact call that they use at close range that sounds like dat. So ah. Very short, slightly different in acoustic. And then they have another contact call that they use at long distance. It sounds like ah. And you can see that and that are kind of different in terms of acoustic. You can clearly distinguish them. And for the bird, it's also very different. But when they are classifying their words, sometimes they get messed up. And the error that they're doing are driven more by how close things are in the semantic space. So they are doing more errors between the that are like contact calls, which is, where are you? What are you doing? Like, where are you? I'm Joe, where are you? And compared to the alarm call, which is also short, but that means totally different things. And they never are doing this mistake between the short tet call and the alarm call. So we have some proof clearly that they are classifying them according to the meaning and not only according to the acoustic.
Wow. Do you find yourself when you're out and about, like, trying to have conversation with birds just when you're out and about generally?
Well, I have to admit, yes. Not with the zebrafinch, because I'm in California and we don't have zebrafinch out there. In the lab, I definitely do, but not out. But crows are all around, and this is really fun to just call to them and they respond. So yeah, I do, admittedly.
Wow. And then why study this particular bird? Why not another type of bird?
Mm-hmm. So the peculiarity of the zebrafinch is that it's a bird that's been studied already for many years for different aspects of their behavior. The male are learning their song from their father. And so because of like how close it might be in terms of mechanisms to language acquisition in humans, people have been really, intrigued by the species and studying this in the lab. And those birds you can easily bred them. Many people have them as pets at home. So it's a perfect animal that you can both study in the wild and also in captivity, where in captivity it helps you to follow individuals, to record them, and to know exactly who's producing what and when, and you can better control the environment. And so for that reason, the zebrafinch appears to be a fantastic model for vocal communication. It's also very chatty. Wherever you are, in in Australia, I could go and there's a group of zebrafinch in a tree, and you're going to hear that going like, chup, 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 all the time. And we have the same thing in the lab. Like they talk all the time. So a species that talks all the time and that you can have both in the wild and in captivity and is happy in both environments, that's a key step here.
You mentioned being happy in both environments. Can you tell a difference between if one's having a good day or a bad day?
Yeah, well, some birds, there's some species that do not handle well captivity. And so those signs are going to be, they pluck themselves, they remove their feathers. They're not breeding. They're staying in a corner, not being very active. So, our birds are all showing all very happy because we have large cage and we provide everything that they like also to have in Australia. So I don't have witnessed this in our lab, but I can tell from when I see some chickens in some areas where indeed they're having a bad day. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, just the fact that you can get into all of this. I mean, what inspired you to even look into this?
Well, I think when I was very young, I was very interested in animal in general, animal behavior, observing animal behavior. But I was not really drawn by the birds at first. But during my PhD, I started a PhD on animal behavior and on birds. That was what was proposed to me. If you want to study animal behavior, we have this, it's on bird. So I studied the birds and I started to observe the birds really. And I realized, wait a minute, this is super complex and super interesting. And this is how I, became really interested in understanding those specific animals, which are birds, and understanding what they were saying because they were so talkative. And we had only studied the song of the male and never had explored all the other call types that those birds are producing, all the others little sound that they produce in different contexts. Those were totally unexplored. And I really wanted to understand what they were saying at this point.
And is your overall goal to help protect them, or what is what motivates you to keep going with this? Where are you going with this?
Well, there's several things. Curiosity, that's one main drive, I have to say. And then also the dream to be able to talk with a species that is not human. This is kind of very exciting. We all interact with our pets, but those are pets, right? This is kind of, they've been selected over the years to listen to us and to respond in a certain manner. This is human selection. Here, the ability to be able to interact with the species in the wild and to understand what they're saying, this is kind of bridging new gaps and bridging new eras. So, I think the ability of being able to understand them and to provide messages to them to maybe help them also would be a very good thing. So I'm thinking here, the zebrafinch, we could tell them, okay, it's going to be very hot. You guys should get out of the desert area, or guys should get out and be in areas that are cooler. There's many zebrafinches that died at some point in Australia with climate change and the increase of temperatures. But you can think also of the orcas, for instance. We could tell them, hey, watch out, there are boats that are crossing your paths. They're coming around. Try to avoid them, to warn them of dangers, because we are, as humans, everywhere on the planet and often creating dangers for other species around us. So I think having this ability to communicate with them will enable us to be more mindful also of their presence and understand their little complex in their life, and also help all of us to cohabitate on this planet.
Fascinating. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. 2:16. My mind is like swirling at that conversation. We're going to give it 2 minutes before we get into our next discussion about this water and sewer class action. And as we go to break, we're all about America's 250th this week. And I do believe we have a picture of some of the festivities that are happening out in Washington, D.C. Throughout the week. People are visiting from all over the world, really, but definitely from all over the country to take part in the fair. Welcome back, everyone. 2:19 right now as we get into this green light that's been given for a $1 billion consumer class action here in our area. And we have attorney Gregory Hanley from Kickham Hanley PLLC, who's joining us right now. He's a partner there. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So the Cook County Circuit Court has granted this motion for this particular certification. I don't think that anyone would, in Cook County, where people constantly feel like they get a charge for this, a charge for that, I don't think anyone's like, oh my gosh, there was an overcharge. But like, how significant is what we're talking about here?
Well, we believe it's very significant, and the case has been going on since 2021. And it reaches back now to about 2016. And what we believe is happening is that the city has been using the water and sewer funds, which are supposed to, be used to operate their systems, that they're using the revenues gained from those services to finance general governmental, expenses. And that's not the way it's supposed to work. These are enterprise funds that are not they have monopolies over their services, and they're not supposed to operate at a profit such that they can transfer tens or hundreds of millions of dollars for the corporate funds use in a way that has nothing to do with the water and sewer operations.
So do we think this was possibly malicious, or people not understanding what things were supposed to be used for?
Well, I don't want to use the word malicious, but it's certainly they knew what they were doing. They create budgets every year for the water and sewer funds. And these expenses that we challenge are explicitly or implicitly put into those budgets. And the budgets form the basis for the rates and charges that the people in the city pay. So, again, I'm not going to say it's malicious, but it's certainly the city knows exactly what they're doing. And in fact, they've continued to do it in the same way long after we showed them in the case what they were doing wrong. So we can only conclude that they've decided intentionally to continue.
And how did this come up to begin with? How did we, you all, I mean, how did it initially come to light?
Well, my firm specializes in water and sewer rate cases. We're based largely in the Detroit area, but we practice in other places as well. And we find that this is a recurring problem where cash-strapped municipalities are. When you talk about water and sewer, you have an unlimited ability to just keep raising your rates, right? Taxation for the same purpose sometimes is limited. So it sometimes becomes irresistible for a municipal water or sewer system to put in the rates amounts that they need to kind of balance the budget on the other side, right? And so we get in and we look at, the publicly available information, and we also, take what's called discovery in these cases, and the city has to provide information that shows, where the money is going, and we kind of trace that and get it figured out.
The layman's a way of, I think, thinking through that is robbing Peter to pay Paul. So
yeah, and water rates, and everybody has to have water, right? It's essential for human living. And when you charge people for water, it falls disproportionately on lower income people because everybody has to have this. It's not it's not like a car where not everybody has to have a BMW. Everybody has to have water and dispose of their sewage. So if you're overcharging for that, it's a tremendous burden. And so the class action is there because the individual losses are not significant enough to justify these types of very significant technical cases. But when you band everybody together, it makes it worth it. And that's what the court's recent decision said, is that we can pursue this now on behalf of all of the affected folks in Chicago who we believe have been overcharged for water and sewer for a long time.
So, yeah, it is a long time that you all were looking at here, about a decade. Do people have to sign up to say this includes me, like register? How does this work?
No, not at this point. We're still in the stage of the case. It's called discovery, and there haven't been any rulings on the merits of the case yet. At some point, the class will get a formal notice that tells them what the case is all about, and they don't have to sign up. They're automatically in the class. It's the way it works in Illinois. You're in the class. You don't have to do anything to stay in the class. Only if you don't want to participate do you have the right to, it's called opting out. And very few people ever opt out because they can't, it doesn't make sense to bring their own individual suit, so they band together and ride along with all the other folks. So, but there's nothing citizens need to do at this point to have the benefits of this. We have been appointed the lawyers to prosecute it and move it forward, and that's what we're trying to do.
A few more questions for you. One, let's say you all win. What would the people be in line to receive? Would they receive anything from a victory here?
It's frequently the case when you get to the end of these cases, either through a negotiated resolution or a judgment, that people get refunds that represent what their pro rata share of what was overpaid. So in other words, if somebody paid twice as much as somebody else, their refund will be twice as much, right? So the process of distributing this takes into account what each person paid, so that the refunds are distributed in a fair and equitable way.
And how many people do you think this affects?
Well, it affects virtually every citizen in Chicago. There are approximately 438,000 water and sewer accounts that are in our class, but each account may have, depends on how many people you have in your household. But this case is really going to affect virtually every citizen in Chicago.
So how, you mentioned you often see this in like cash-strapped localities. How does a cash-strapped locality correct this?
Well, they got to stop what they're doing. I mean, that's part of what we're seeking in the lawsuit, which is we understand that there are costs to running a water and sewer system, significant costs, and the city should be able to recover those costs in part of their rates and charges. But what they shouldn't be able to do is put over $100 million a year in those rates that have nothing to do with water and sewer. So what we are going to ask for at the conclusion of the case is that people receive refunds for overcharges in the past, and that the city be required to change the way it makes its water and sewer rates to get rid of all of the stuff that has nothing to do with water and sewer.
Right, but
and
I
that's
guess
what we believe.
That's what I'm looking at. Not to speak over you, but that's I guess what my question is. If you're seeking relief from what happened in the past, if a place is cash strapped, where are they coming up with that money without taking it from something else that they might not have the green light
but
for?
But government has to make that choice all the time. They're not allowed to cheat by taking it from sources that are not appropriate, right? And even after transferring this money from the water and sewer fund to the corporate fund and otherwise, these funds still have hundreds of millions of dollars of cash. And so I understand that sometimes they have to make choices, but just because difficult choices are going to have to be made doesn't justify continuing to overcharge people.
No, I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm just saying, how do they pay back if you're cash strapped now and you're already taking measures that may be found to be out of order? How do you pay back?
Well, they have to find the money, and in most of our cases, the money is paid out of the accumulated funds in the water and sewer fund. So the general fund doesn't have to suffer, and taxes don't have to be raised. It would not be a very good result if people got refunds, but then the city was able to raise their taxes, right?
Right.
So we have a consistent track record of avoiding that result because we understand that it's not necessarily the fairest outcome. But the city has enough money, in our view, and if they don't, then they'll have to make different choices.
You also mentioned this being possibly negotiated before it goes further. So, what would your potential outlook from a timeline look like for some type of decision to be made?
Well, I think that we're going back to court on July 22nd for the court to set a schedule for the remaining tasks that have to be completed. For getting whatever depositions people want to take, and then these cases have expert witnesses who give their opinions, and then they get subject to cross-examination. But we feel like we're getting closer to the end. I mean, the case in September, the case will have been pending for 5 years.
Oof.
And so we're trying to move it forward as fast as we can, especially considering that the overcharges that we claim exist are continuing to be, included in these rates. So we're trying to move this as quickly as possible.
Very interesting stuff here. And I mean, you said that your firm looks into these things all the time throughout the country or in the areas that you all serve. Is this something that most people, everyday residents, would be able to spot?
I don't believe so at all. And when we started looking at this, even though our case goes back to 2016, that's only because there's a statute of limitations that prevents us from going back further. We don't think that anyone has taken a hard look at this before we came on the scene, and it's hard to figure out because you got to parse the budgets and you got to parse the financial statements and you got to look at general ledgers of where money is going and where money is not going, and how they're allocating costs. So there's a lot of complexity to it, and that's why lawyers and experts have to ferret it out.
And have you all done this somewhere else where you've been successful and people have gotten checks back?
Oh, many, many, many times in many municipalities in Michigan, primarily. Probably 15, 20 cases where people got money.
What would be the largest locality?
We've had $75 million relief. We've had everything up from $2 million to $10 million to $11 million to, so it ranges, but it's all based upon how much the overcharges have been, and that's what determines largely what the relief is, for the refunds. But this is a real thing, and Illinois is maybe even better than Michigan in protecting ratepayers from the very types of things that we're complaining about here. So we think that the case has a very strong legal footing, and we've gone out of our way to show the city in what we call the evidence outline all of the ways in which they're overcharging, and we believe that, and it's been vetted and presented to them, and it ultimately will be presented to the court.
Well, please keep us updated. Thank you so much for your time today.
No problem. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you as well. Take care. 2:33 right now. Definitely want the updates on this as that moves through. So stand by for more on that as time plays out. But I'm looking forward to our next discussion here after the break with the brother of the bride. He may go down as the brother of the bride of the year. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay, welcome back. 2:35 right now, and boy, oh boy, the next guest that we have has to have a level of pride that few have right now as to the leap of faith that he took and how it paid off in such a major and viral way for his sister and everyone at her wedding. Mike Kindlin is joining us right now, and he had just like a mustard seed that said, let me try to get he's in Chicago, let me try to get Ed Sheeran over to my sister's wedding. And sure enough, he showed up. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Now, did you go to the Ed Sheeran concert? Did you like, what made you think this was even a possibility to get Ed Sheeran over to your sister's wedding?
So originally I reached out to Martin Garrix, who is buddies with Ed Sheeran, and he was performing at Northerly Island while Ed was at Soldier Field, and the wedding was at the Planetarium. And all three of those are in very close proximity. And we were made aware, weeks prior to the wedding that, Martin was going to be playing and that Ed was going to be playing. And I think we were joking around like, oh, what if Ed popped over? So I just had the idea, the week of the wedding to reach out to Martin Garrix because he's got 15 million followers and Ed's got 50, so maybe a little more reachable from that perspective. I probably thought there was maybe a 2% chance he'd even see the message, let alone entertain the idea. But fortunately, I followed up 2 more times, and the second time he actually saw the message, and while I was on my way to the wedding, I checked one more time just in case, and he said, yeah, sure, I'll swing by. So I go crazy. I'm like, what? Okay, I'll send you the details. He hooked me up with his, security people and his coordinators and things like that. And then just jokingly, I said, Ed's also playing, down the street. You should hit him up, and you could bring him along. Like, I was hardly serious. And so then I coordinated with his team, tried to keep it a secret, but I have a big mouth, from the other guests and whatnot. And then through the coordination with his team, security, making sure the venue was all set up, things like that, which I thought contributed to Ed coming because I did a good job of facilitating and making it like a quick, easy out, things like that with his team. But as we approached, Martin was supposed to come at 12:15, and security tells me, we want to confirm that you guys are good to accommodate 7 people. So I thought, why are they bringing 7 people? So then it dawned on me that there might be some more, celebrities on their way over. So it was surreal. I still can't believe. Then that was the first time they've ever done that too. They've never done that before, and it was just super special.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I've seen like videos of Ed Sheeran like popping in a bar randomly or something like that, but never this. So walk us through, like, you said you did tell a few people there, but like, what was the reaction like, and especially from your sister and her new husband?
So I pretty much told everybody that Martin was gonna be coming, and some people still were skeptical, I guess, right? But once I found out for sure that Ed was coming, which was like an hour before they arrived, I wanted to tell everybody, but I definitely kept it a secret from my sister. And then when Martin and Ed pulled up, escorted by Cook County sheriffs at the front, some other people saw those, the police escort. People got a little, okay, right? Is that in there in those SUVs? And then I kind of hung out with them in the lobby, waiting for everyone to migrate to the dance floor area. And the 2 of them just walked in. Everyone was expecting Martin, and then when they see Ed, all the girls just start screaming. They got a really good reaction to them walking in, and we coordinated well with the DJ we booked to kind of play Martin's intro song, his new song with Ed. So Ed just walks in and just had a mic with him already and just starts singing, and everyone's losing their minds, like jaws on the floor. It was wild.
Oh my goodness. I'm just thinking in my head, like, security probably all night, especially as the hours are going by, are like, yeah, whatever. This guy's probably had a drink or 2. Like, he's not serious.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then it was really awesome that Martin and Ed's team collaborated to do a little post video of them talking about it before, after, and during their wedding crash. and then that video is what kind of went viral on the socials that their teams put together. So,
Okay.
and I got a cameo in it, so that was pretty cool.
Well, of course, you know. So what did your sisters say?
They still were, you know, even the next day, they're just like, we cannot believe you pulled that off, right? My sister had a funny comment. You're exempt from buying me any gifts for like the rest of your life. Like you're covered on birthday presents, you know, Christmas presents, things like that. Yeah, I was pretty popular at the wedding after they left. They were there for probably 20 minutes. Ed sang 4 songs of the 5 songs that Martin was DJing. They worked the crowd pretty well, got everyone, you know, to, you know, jump around and like go low and then pop up, all those, you know, crowd work shenanigans and things like that. And my favorite part is that Ed and Martin looked like they were having the time of their lives as well. Yeah. It was just, everything fell together perfectly from, you know, timing. They both finished within like 20 minutes of each other and had this little window of time to you know, make my sister's night, and you know she'll never forget that. Neither will any of the guests. Everyone still doesn't believe that happened.
Brother of the year, of the year for sure. And you know, so this was your sister's wedding. Are they on their honeymoon now?
Yes, they are. I think in flight to Hawaii right now.
Okay. Wonderful. And I'm sure they're on cloud 1,000. I mean, they would have already been on at least 10 to 100.
Chicago wedding of the year for sure.
Does it make you see these artists differently?
I'm really into like the electronic music world, and I've been fortunate to, you know, get to meet and spend time with a lot of them. But even so, initially when I got to spend time with them before they, you know, went into the room, they're just normal people. Like we were just shooting the stuff, and you know, just talking about whatever prior and kind of strategizing on how they wanted to approach it and things like that. They were just so nice to me, and you know, my sister. They took a picture of her. Ed danced with her for a little bit, so that was just so cool.
Yeah, not only brother of the year, but like you've turned her wedding into wedding of, well, I don't know. Taylor Swift might be getting married very soon, but up until then, it might be wedding of the year. Really cool. And the people there at the museum, I mean, the planetarium, what did they say afterward?
Like the employees that were facilitated? So a lot of them didn't even like know that was going on. So it was funny. I was following Ed out to like, you know, say thank you again and like see you later. And I saw some of the staff just like walk by, and then their next step they're like, is that who I just thought he was, right? So they were, like you mentioned, they were a little bit skeptical when I was saying that he might be coming. And then when the police escort pulled up, they're just like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. So they thought I was pretty cool. They probably thought I was somebody important, when in reality I am not whatsoever.
Well, you are now, brother. You are now. You're the man now. And your other family members, I mean, are they just like, I mean, yes, it was your sister's night, but at the same time, like now you're the favorite child?
Yeah, the favorite sibling for sure. But yeah, I think probably 20 to 30 people told me I'm a legend, so I got that going for me now.
I think this is absolutely phenomenal, and your family will have this to talk about forever.
That's very much
just
so.
Super cool.
It was so cool. I still don't believe it that happened. Just like 1 in a million chance that just the stars aligned. Planetarium, you know. So.
I love
intended, I guess.
Exactly. The stars aligned. Of course they did at the planetarium. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us. I'm sure everyone's pulling at you to give your account of how this happened and what all happened. But we appreciate your time.
It's a unique situation for sure you rarely see. So yeah, it's fun to talk about and share it.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all right.
Bye.
I can only imagine somebody else is like, can you come to my wedding now? Like, even if it's the brother, like, can you come to my, you have some mojo, you know? Good stuff. Good stuff. Amazing stuff. 2:45, everybody. Give us a couple minutes and we'll be back to talk about our Eagles out east. Okay, welcome back, everyone. 2:48 right now as we keep on with our conversations here on Chicago Live for the day. And of course, we're getting ready for America's 250th anniversary. There will be fun, there will be food, there will be festivities. Very likely there will be fireworks, but not if a group on the East Coast has anything to do with it, as they are trying to protect the eagles that we have been watching for the last few months here. They're at Big Bear Valley. And so Friends of Big Bear Valley has a petition now to cancel July 4th fireworks. It's to protect those beloved eagles. And the media manager for the group is joining us. Jenny, pronounce your last name for me. Is it Voisard?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for your time. And tell us about you all's mission.
Well, I'm with Friends of Big Bear Valley, and we are an environmental educational nonprofit, and we manage the live stream with Jackie and Shadow. And there is a petition to try and stop the fireworks this 4th of July because Jackie and Shadow have young fledglings. We did not start the petition, but we did send a letter to city officials outlining the risks and our position.
Mm-hmm. And is it the petition is trying to get the fireworks like writ all to cease, or like within a certain radius around the birds?
Our preference would be to have an alternative to fireworks, like a drone show, due to the noise. So the fireworks are shot over the lake, and so the noise carries to their habitat area, even if they're a couple of miles away. So that's really the biggest issue. Bald eagles don't see very well at night, while they do see well in the day. But at night, not so great. And so the concern is that they will flee and potentially have something happen to them because they're flying away in terror at night.
Wow. And I would presume that you all have seen this play out before, which is why you're trying to preemptively have a decision this go round. Is that correct?
Well, we're not really able to make the decision for the fireworks. It's a decision that it's made by the tourism and all of that. But yes, every year we have watched Jackie and Shadow flee their nighttime roost spot in terror because of the fireworks. They have left chicks on the nest before, as instinct tells them to go. So that is why. There's other dangers, environmental, but the noise is really the biggest thing. Some people may notice that with their pets that could be scared during the fireworks. So it's really that type of issue.
Yeah, I mean, sure. We often talk about dogs frequently running off, during the 4th of July weekend because of fireworks, or being scared and going under beds or something of that sort, and what to do about your pets this weekend when there are fireworks present. But most people don't think about birds and other habitats and that could be impacted as well.
Yes, and it's a big argument, I think, across our whole country. It's really bigger than Big Bear. There's people that feel like their traditions are being taken away from, and there's other people that are advocating for the voiceless. So hopefully one day we can all come to some kind of agreement over how to celebrate together that doesn't impact anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you intimated there, I mean, drone shows are becoming more popular. So at the very least, that is taking the place of many places that would have had fireworks before that now go with drone shows. I mean, even from a fire safety standpoint, drone shows are becoming more of the go-to.
Absolutely. And they've done drone shows in the past for Jackie and Shadow, but it wasn't as popular as the fireworks. So, but they have tried. And I really think it's going to take us a while to evolve culturally. I grew up watching fireworks with my grandparents and my families, and I have very fond memories of that. And so I understand people's concerns and people's issues. But at the same time, I think we all should just kind of think about the impact of what we do and what it does to our wildlife and to even our human population.
And you mentioned, obviously a lot of this discussion is about what's happening on the East Coast, Big Bear Valley, but you mentioned like growing up and and having these memories. You're from Evanston.
I am originally from Evanston, and my family and I used to spend our summers up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And we used to go and watch fireworks together. We used to go out to the airfield and get on top of the pickup truck and lay on blankets and watch them and ooh and ah, and it was really fun. But growing up and seeing how it impacted my dogs and learning more about them, I've just kind of come to a realization that fireworks have a place, maybe not mixed in with wildlife.
And let me ask you, I mean, because you all have been monitoring Jackie and Shadow over time. Let's say someone is new to the Jackie and Shadow love story. Take us back and bring us to present.
Well, Jackie and Shadow, and we're in California, and Jackie and Shadow have been a pair since 2018. And they have a huge global following, 2.7 million social media followers. And even beyond that, they go through the trials and tribulations of nesting season every year. Some seasons are successful, some seasons aren't. And we're all in it together through thick and thin as we watch and see what happens each year and how they interact with each other. Jackie and Shadow have an amazing relationship. They're very fun. They're very funny. They bicker kind of like an old couple. And they are very amazing parents. They're very dedicated to their chicks. And just in the last few days, Sandy and Luna, which is their chicks' names this year, just fledged. And so we're watching them figure out what it's like to be outside of the nest and flying around for the first time. So it's very exciting.
Oh, beautiful story. And I think I said East Coast, West Coast, where our Big Bear Valley is. So, yeah, I mean, at the point that they're fledglings, what is their maturity like from here?
Well, they're very dependent on their parents still. And Jackie and Shadow will fly around and follow them around and make sure that they're getting food and kind of know what they're going and learn how to fly and learn how to land properly. So they'll be very involved. And a young fledgling and a young eagle is very exploratory and nomadic their first 5 years of their lives. So after a few months when they're settled, they usually take off and don't return to their natal area. And they can fly thousands of miles away. And it really isn't until they're 5 years old when they gain sexual maturity. That's when you see their iconic feathers, the white head and the white tail form. That's when they look for a mate and build a nest and have eggs and fledges, and it's fun.
Oh, wow. Well, we thank you for the education, also, of course, for the view over the last several months that we've had to be able to kind of watch them and peer in. I think I said that's kind of a healthy obsession in America, to be able to have these cameras out to view the wildlife as they are expanding their families.
Absolutely. So for some, it's the only connection to nature that people have, whether or not they're ill or can't leave their home, or they're busy, stuck in a city. And so it provides connection to nature, and then with community as we all watch together and experience all of it together. So it's a very special thing.
Well, we will see what happens with this effort here. Do you know how many people have signed the petition thus far?
I don't know how many. 40,000 signed it last year. I don't know how many people signed it this year, but the person that started, or the people that started, are from around that area as well. So,
well, we'll see what happens with the petition. Obviously, just a few more days here, but also circle back next week, and we're hoping that all goes well for our feathered friends over the weekend, and that next week we're still seeing this little family in their nest, continuing to grow and develop. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Take care. All right, everyone, give us 2 minutes, and then we'll be getting set up for our 3 o'clock hour, our final hour of Chicago Live for the day. Hey, welcome back, everyone. 3:01, and today, and probably for the rest of the week, we are going to focus a lot on the heat outside. And so we thank you for being here in our final hour of Chicago Live. That is where we're going to begin. Let me tell you about some of the other things that we are getting into, though. The only fully non-weather portion of this hour is at 3:45. We anticipate having a discussion about a Kane County dog. That is a full segment that you're not going to want to miss. Again, that's at 3:45. But everything else really revolves around this big topic. I mean, we've kind of gotten through the stormy days that we had last week, the cool weather that we had. I mean, people were in jackets, and we are far past jackets this week as we get ready for the 4th of July holiday. And so many people are going to be out and about. I mean, I'm looking out the window. I see people going in every direction right now, on foot, on bike, in the car, and for sure, ACs are going to be driving this week. We have some weather concerns in terms of the temperatures, and just kind of reading over some of the things that came out from our meteorologist earlier today, and we are going to have meteorologist J.D. Rudd come up around 3:30, but there are some comparisons to heat waves that were very significant for this area over a decade ago that we are going to experience this week. We're going to be riding very close to some of the record highs from many years ago this week. And so we'll talk a lot about that. Even the Salvation Army is offering cooling centers for the excessive heat wave this week. And so we'll go over more of that discussion in terms of ways to beat the heat and to be safe when it comes to the heat. But there are some other conversations surrounding heat and being outside more that we have to have as well. In fact, melasma is one of them. And we have Lauren Fine, Dr. Lauren Fine, who is joining us right now to get into that aspect of the sun and the extreme heat discussion. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You know, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, I hear about melanoma. What is melasma?
So melasma is a very common skin condition that presents as hyperpigmented or dark patches, usually on the face, usually symmetrically distributed, whether it's on the forehead, cheeks, upper lip, but you can actually get melasma on other non-facial skin, such as chest and arms. We see it all the time. It's something that, as a dermatologist, I see in my office almost every day. And we see it a lot more commonly, especially in the summer.
Mm-hmm. And I said melanoma. I'm sure as a dermatologist, you're like, what? But anyhow, what can we do better moving forward when it comes to either melanoma or melasma? Like what can we do better? And why do you think it is 2026 and we're still kind of having to even have these types of discussions?
Sure. Well, melasma and melanoma are two very different things. Melasma is not a skin cancer. It causes essentially unwanted facial darkening or facial discoloration. Again, it can be anywhere, though, sun distributed, whether it's face or, like I was saying, arms, whereas melanoma is a type of a skin cancer that can arise either in a new mole or an existing mole. This can be a very serious skin cancer that often can start out as a very small area, but if left untreated, melanoma can spread beyond the skin and be extremely serious, even fatal. So two very different things, but the sun plays a role in both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very different, but two things that I'm sure, one, that most people talk about and know about, that will be a topic of discussion this week and as we go into the summer months, and one that we are still maybe learning more about. For you, I mean, do you see people often come in suffering from melasma?
Oh, for sure. Again, like I was saying, one of the most common conditions that most dermatologists see and treat. There are different causes. We know the sun plays a major role in really, I think, all types of melasma, but the sun isn't the only trigger. it can, we see melasma more commonly in women. There might be a hormonal role, but that's not the only driving factor. Anything that causes inflammation or irritation of the skin can be a trigger for melasma. But the most common factor in all of this is the sun exposure and unprotected sun exposure.
And when we say sun exposure, how long? What kind of sun exposure?
So the tricky thing about melasma is that it can take very, very short periods of time in the sun to trigger a new outbreak of melasma or a new spot, especially unprotected sun exposure. So being outdoors without sunscreen or any form of sun protection. That's why sunscreen, sun protection in general is just as important as how we treat melasma. Sunscreen I do view as prevention and treatment. And really not all sunscreens are created equal when we're dealing with melasma. So that's, there's a lot of, different sunscreen ingredients. Sometimes it gets confusing, but when we're looking to reduce unwanted pigment, we want both a broad spectrum sunscreen that covers both for UVB and UVA, the sun rays, but also even in the visible light spectrum, because all different types of light can sometimes be a trigger if people are sensitive to melasma. So that's when you maybe have heard the term a mineral sunscreen or physical sunscreen, those most common ingredients being a zinc or titanium dioxide. And even tinted mineral sunscreens we now know offer the best form of protection against both the harmful UV rays, but also the visible light spectrum.
Mm-hmm. And for melasma, it goes beyond just the sun exposure, but like the extreme heat that we're dealing with could also exacerbate the issue. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Heat is 100%. It can be a trigger, and that's a common trigger for a lot of people. So not necessarily just being out in the direct sun, just when the skin gets hot, that can be enough to trigger discoloration, hyperpigmentation. And again, it does not take very long for that to happen in the right predisposed individual.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do when it flares up? What is commonly a treatment protocol?
So like I was saying, sunscreen is the most important thing, both treating and preventing. But it is really important to go see and get diagnosed by a board certified dermatologist, because not all brown spots, not all pigment is melasma. So there are lots of different conditions that can involve dark spots or hyperpigmentation, and it may not necessarily be melasma. So it's really important that you get properly diagnosed. And the reason that's so important with melasma is because there are a lot of treatments that can make melasma worse. So without that proper diagnosis, it really can increase the chance of potentially trying a skincare product or doing a treatment that may not agree with the skin, which could actually trigger melasma flare. So again, important to be seen by a board certified dermatologist.
Can it be cured?
Yeah, I actually don't think there's really no cure for melasma. There's nothing I could give you that would make it go away forever and never come back. But that being said, there's great products, treatments, measures to both treat, to prevent new melasma spots. But even with the best sun protection, best treatments, there's always a chance that this can come back, or if we get rid of it, you may develop a new spot somewhere else. But sun protection is, I view, equally as important as any form of a treatment.
Mm-hmm. And so, obviously, or the bulk of our conversation has been about melasma. I also mentioned melanoma, which, as you rightly put, is very different. But during this time of year, what are some of your other main concerns or the most prominent things that you see coming into your office as a dermatologist?
Well, the number one most important thing when you are going to be outdoors during the sunny hours, to be using a broad spectrum SPF. I would always look for SPF in the SPF 30 to 50 number. The most important thing about applying sunscreen is, well, one, you have to be putting enough on to begin with. And when you're outdoors for long periods of time, reapplying your sunscreen every 90 minutes or 2 hours, even sooner if you're very sweaty or getting wet. And I think even people that think, oh, maybe their skin doesn't burn easily, or they can be out for hours without having issues with their skin, any amount of unprotected sun exposure, whether your skin is very light or very dark, we know is damaging. You're still getting the harmful effects of the UV light. So making sure you're never leaving home without sunscreen. And also now that our days are very long, it's sunny up until after 8 o'clock, thinking about things like sun protective clothing, keeping covered, not just your sunscreen, hat and sunscreen when you're out during peak hours. Again, sometimes just covering up, long sleeve, keeping your chest covered, all important things.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. I hope that it helps someone. There are so many different things. We want people to have fun, of course, during this long weekend for many, but we also want people to be safe. So thank you for lending your voice and your expertise to us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Take care. So a bit of information there about protecting your skin. As I said, I mean, we are anticipating some very serious temperatures. Yes, that allows us, the heat allows us to get out a little bit more than when we were dealing with cooler temperatures just a short while ago, and maybe have fun on the water and those types of things. But these are also super important things, dangers that come with the temperatures that we're expecting, and just the heat index that we're anticipating on top of the temperature this week. Salvation Army, in fact, sent out a notice saying that they have cooling centers open during the excessive heat wave. These are going to be in several different areas. There's a Blue Island a cooling center, Canton, the Chicago Freedom Center, that's at 825 North Christiana Avenue. They also have one for Chicago Temple. That's 1 North Ogden Avenue. DeKalb has one. Kewanee has one. Perkins, Streeter, all have them. These are there for a reason, everyone. And many of them, I mean, I'm looking at the Chicago Freedom Center. It's open 24/7. Because, of course, with the heat index that we're anticipating this week that could go into the triple digits, it's not going to cool off a lot at night. That's why you get the temperatures the way we are day after day for days on end, 3, 4, 5 days on end, where you could see 90 plus for the temperature, but then the heat index on top of that puts it in the triple digits here. So be careful. Be careful. That discussion about the temperature in terms of, and the heat index and what it could do to your skin. But we want to take things a step further here, talking about heat safety coming up next. So give us 2 minutes before we bring in the chair of emergency medicine at Cook County Health. Welcome back, 316 right now. Let's hop right into our discussion with Dr. Trevor Lewis, the Chair of Emergency Medicine at Cook County Health. When we have extreme weather that is going to go for a prolonged period of time, what are some of the things that come top of mind to you that could be coming into the emergency rooms, or that people need to do to avoid getting there?
Sure. Yeah. So I think the concerning thing for us is it's not only the high temperatures, but the high humidity. It makes it really hard for your body to dissipate heat. So that said, the easiest thing to do is say just stay home and be in the air conditioning. For a lot of people, that's not possible. What I think the big thing to take home is be prepared. If you have to be out in that hot weather, one, you want to make sure you hydrate. Don't wait until you become thirsty, but stay ahead of things. Drink maybe 12 to 16 ounces of fluid before you go out, and maybe 6 ounces of fluid every 20 to 30 minutes. Wear loose, light-fitting clothing, just so you don't actually attract the sun, but the light clothing actually reflects the sun. And then what you want to do is look for signs of what we call heat exhaustion, and hopefully not, but heat stroke. Heat exhaustion, you might feel a little dizzy, nauseous, start getting some cramps. If you start to feel those things, what you should do is try to remove yourself from the heat and hydrate. The more concerning issues are if people get what's called heat stroke. And that's when they'll start to be confused. Their body will stop sweating. They may pass out. That's a medical emergency, and they should seek medical help immediately.
And how quickly can that happen?
It can happen pretty quick with these very high heat indices. It depends on what you're doing outside. If you're doing something where you're really exerting yourself, it can happen pretty quick. That's why in these next couple of days, especially if people like to exercise or get outside every day, these next 3 days might be some days that you might want to take it easy a little bit and maybe not do that big jog or walk outside.
And is it, when you say that, do you typically see these types of things in older adults, younger adults, maybe thinking or underestimating how the toll it could take on their bodies, or anyone?
Absolutely. Actually, the two vulnerable populations are the very young and our elderly patients. Once again, they might not recognize the symptoms. They also might have a hard time getting themselves out of a hot environment. So I think it's really important over these next 3 days, for people to make sure they're checking on their elderly relatives or neighbors, just to make sure they have a way to cool themselves, that they're doing okay, that they're hydrating.
And hydrating, is water enough? I know, I remember when I was marathon training, and at this point in the year you're starting to pick up some miles, and water itself was not enough anymore. So obviously if people can only get to water, that's one thing, but is water enough?
Water should be enough if you're out and about. If you're really exerting yourself and you're losing salts as well, it's probably good to have some of the energy drinks as well. But I think the important thing is whatever you can get, just to make sure that you're staying hydrated. That's probably the most important thing to take home.
And for us to have a long weekend, people are going to be out boats or cookouts, concerts, you name it, people want to be outside. I'm anticipating, obviously, that a lot of people are probably going to have alcohol too. So kind of give us some guidance on, alcohol consumption with these kinds of temperatures.
Sure. So I think the things that you want to be concerned about, one, both alcohol and caffeine, really in moderation going into a hot 3-day stretch like this. Both of those, when you drink, either excess alcohol or caffeine, it can make you dehydrated. And with lots of alcohol, especially in these hot days, you might not be aware of some of these signs and symptoms of heat exhaustion or even heat stroke. So, you really want to do everything, I think, in moderation over these next 3 days.
So, Mike Kaplan, our morning meteorologist here, he said that this is the first heat wave of the year that begins today and will continue unabated through Wednesday. When is the last time that you really felt like you needed to drive home this message?
We haven't had really a big, usually we'll get one or two a summer, but this one I think has really almost snuck up on us a little bit. It is really warm today. And, we'll start to see larger volumes in the emergency department, people coming in dehydrated. You're also going to see a lot of respiratory illness over the next 3 days just because it's so hot and humid. So our patients who have asthma or COPD need to be careful as well. So really a lot to keep an eye on over these next 3 days.
Yeah. And for the kids that may be out at pools and things of that nature, what are some added things that parents need to be, alert to, fast to react to, or cognizant of?
Sure. So I think same things, just keeping an eye on your kids. If they seem to be becoming a little confused, that's very concerning. Make sure they're staying hydrated. Sometimes kids are just having fun and, in this younger or older population, they're not paying attention to those things of making sure they drink every so often, etc. So really, you've got to keep a closer eye on them, and sunscreen, all that stuff, just so they stay safe over these next 3 days.
I heard something about just 15 minutes of time in an AC can make a difference for people. Is that correct?
Just in other words, to cool them down, yes. So, if someone is starting to become, let's say, exhibiting signs of heat exhaustion, etc., you want to get them out of that warm weather. Sometimes that's hard to do, to get them right into air conditioning. But even if you can get, let's say, a wet or cool washcloth on the back of their neck, taking a cool shower or bath, any of those things can really help bring down that temperature.
Mm-hmm. And just, are there other things that maybe we haven't touched on that you feel like maybe we don't bring up often enough?
I think the big thing, at least for me, is once again just checking on your relatives and neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure that everybody has what they need to stay safe over these 3 days. So, if they don't have air conditioning, because not everybody does, do they have a fan? Maybe advise them to take some cool showers during that time. Just checking on them, making sure that they have adequate hydration, etc. I think that's an important thing as well. And then just be very safe. Nobody, it shouldn't be pets, kids, anybody should be left in the car, even for a matter of minutes, with it being this hot right now. That's really a very concerning thing. So just keeping an eye on everybody.
Yeah. As simple as it sounds about not leaving pets or children in vehicles, it's so unfortunate every time we hear about that actually happening. And a lot of vehicles now have kind of an alert system to say something is still, or someone is still in your back seat to tell you, even if you're in a rush, like, hey, to just kind of jar your memory. And I think about the fact that, Mike Kaplan said, a lot of people will draw comparisons this week to the 1995 heat wave in this area. That type of technology would be something that's really brought us a long way between 1995 and 2026 to try to keep down on the deadly occurrences that take place in heat waves like this. What are some other things that you think that time has helped us with to get through spells like this better?
Sure. Well, I think, just like getting the word out about preparation, I think that's what we're doing so much better as compared to the 90s. So making sure people know there are cooling centers, or you could go to, let's say, a mall and get inside in the air conditioning, advising people to check on their neighbors, making sure that people know the signs and symptoms of having heat exhaustion, heat stroke. I think it's really just the public awareness that has made a huge difference between what happened back in the 90s and hopefully what we're able to do in this day and age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the level of awareness and getting the word out, for sure. There are many, many more ways to get the word out than there were in the 90s. Thank you so much, Doctor. We appreciate you, and we hope that you're not overrun with people needing help, but we appreciate the fact that they can find a place to receive that help if need be.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Same to you. Yeah, it's good to know that the resources are available. Again, the cooling centers, and yes, that that there are trained professionals to help you. But it's really important that we are all mindful of what's going on with our bodies and those around us. There are a ton of events that are happening over the next few days, and we just want everyone to be safe, to be careful, to be mindful, so that we can, all do this again next year together. Let's take a 2-minute break. Meteorologist JD Rudd has walked in. We're going to get the latest on the numbers, on the conditions that we're actually anticipating over the next few days, leading up to July 4th and this weekend that, America is celebrating 250 years, coming up after this quick break. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Just about 3:30 now. We've been talking about how to protect yourself from the inside out when it comes to the heat that we are anticipating, or really in the midst of, this week. But now we really get into the meat of the matter, which is the actual conditions. Meteorologist JD Rudd is here to help us have an overview of a big change from last week, man.
Yeah, I mean, we started this month off with some 80s. We had one day in the 90s, and we were like, okay, great, it's summer.
Right.
And then we pulled back into the 70s for a while, and everyone, hey, what happened to summer? And then, if you recall, last week we were talking about how Sunday was going to be pretty warm, not quite hot yet, pretty warm. We actually didn't get there because of the clouds and the rain. We stopped in the lower 80s.
Yeah, I was like,
Some were probably going, oh, it's not that bad. It's because it was about 7 degrees shy of what we were thinking. And then today comes along and you go, oh.
Yeah. I mean, from the minute you stepped out this morning,
Yes.
and it wasn't that it was so bright and sunshiny.
No.
It was just like, you step out and immediately you're like, I can't breathe.
A sack of wet hamsters hit you in the face. And you're like, what is this?
Yeah, it was
dew points. Dew points are high because here's the thing: our air temperature today so far has only gotten to 91, and we've been there before this year. It ties us for the hottest, but this is it.
Whoa!
Easy, Anita, easy. I saw your eyes almost roll across the floor with this
Wow.
one. The heat index. It's because the dew point values are in the 70s, so that makes it feel to your body more like the triple digits. And you guys may have talked about this earlier. Your body's working overtime to try to cool itself, and so when we talk about the heat index, the feels like factor, it's what your body perceives this heat to be as it's trying to cool itself down by sweating and everything else like that. And there's some other things that have come out in the past handful of years that we can look at with apparent temperatures and things like that. The overall factor here is that your body's working overtime to try to cool itself down with high heat and high humidity. So this is just the beginning. And I hate to say this, but those values you see there, that's on the low end of what's coming over the next 2 or 3 days.
Wow. And you said our bodies are working overtime, like the AC is going to be working overtime for many people. And, you know, I think of all of the things that are, you know, just changing this week.
Everything is changing because people are now, for sure, cranking up the air conditioner. Maybe some held off. Some might have to buy fans. Maybe the AC, they went to turn it on, it doesn't work. Didn't check it in time.
Freon.
And there's something like that. Yeah, those kind of deals. Or, I mean, let's be honest, some folks that we're getting toward the end of the month, they might have to move and they have no place to go and they're trying to figure out what to do. There's all kinds of things you got to think about. Everyone's in a different spot in life, and the weather doesn't wait for anything. And now this is coming up and it's happening. I know many kids are now done with school, splash pads, pools, and parks are open, which is great. Yeah. But at the same time, you can spend all day in a pool. You can still get overheated. You can still not do well in this heat. And again, the big thing I'm going to harp on is it's not just the heat. It is, as you see here, the humidity. Those dew point values easily around 70 to about 75. That's Florida-like. That's tropical-like. I mean, this is thick. Now, can those dew point values get higher? Yes. I mean, I don't want to say it's unheard of, but it's on the rarer side for us to get dew points into the 80s. But when you start seeing that is terrible. So we're not in that range yet, but still, this is going to be a pretty hot, humid, nasty. I called it over the weekend dog breath. I mean, it's like a dog breathing in your face. It's hot, it's humid, and it's oppressive. It's offensive.
Yeah. It's like going out into like a sauna.
Yes.
You know, or when you're sitting, for the ladies, when we're sitting under the hair dryer. You know, and at some point you kind of like start bending your ear. You're like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. But for some people, they, you know, I mean, getting out of this heat is tricky in and of itself. You know, whether it's because they're working or unhoused, which is why we really want to drive home the cooling centers and the quick time period that just the 15 minutes, as we were talking with the doctor there, they can help you tremendously, even if you can get out of the heat for just 15 minutes.
The big difference for us, you think of a desert heat and they say it's a dry heat because you find shade there and it's instantly cooler because you're shaded from the sun. The sun is what's making you hot. In this situation, it's the humidity. So it doesn't matter if it's cloudy, it doesn't matter if you're under a shade tree, an awning, anything like that. It's that humidity that's still out there. Even back to the point of you could dip yourself in a pool, sure, but there's still that humidity surrounding you. So yes, you just have to find that window somewhere to cool your body down before it gets to that overheating process, which you don't want to be in.
Now we've got a, you know, Taste of Chicago that people are gearing up for, and the fireworks displays and all of those things, and that's another aspect of it that, you know, there are concerns during the day, but really this is the type of heat where it's not cooling off at night.
No, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about later on today is even our overnight lows are going to stay. You see here in the 7-day forecast. I mean, keep this in mind. The low that I've got depicted there, like the next 3 nights, is 79. We're going to hit that at about 5 o'clock in the morning. Prior to that, it's still going to be in the lower 80s with high humidity all through the night. So you're going to have a heat index all night long, likely around 90. I mean, that's hot all night. And then, yes, we're focusing on the worst of it in the afternoon with a high temperature of 95 or 96, a heat index of around 105, give or take. That's the worst of it in the afternoon. But still, to have sun up to sundown, heat indices 90 or better, that is not ideal.
I mean, just the feels like. It's like, oh my goodness. And tell us what's going on with the rain, because, you know, a lot of the events are over the weekend, right? When we start to see that.
About this last night, talking about it, going, okay, so we get a break a little bit from the heat because of the rain coming in, but it's coming in Friday, Saturday, Sunday. July 4th weekend, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So things are going to change. I'll tell you that flat out right now. But from what I saw last night, what I'm seeing today, Friday's activity is leaning more toward afternoon and evening, which is not ideal, but I'm optimistic that it's not going to be everywhere all the time. Saturday's activity, that might more so be in the early morning. Still some time to change things, but that might be more Saturday morning, and then hopefully the rest of the afternoon and the evening is dry, which would be great for 4th of July festivities, fireworks, you name it. And then Sunday, that one might be a morning to mid-afternoon as it looks right now. But again, the timing on this is likely going to change, but it's been consistent from day to day, so maybe it stays about the same. The bottom line point is, as it stands right now, it's not a complete washout for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it's just, I say this all the time, it's not a holiday weekend in this part of the country if you don't have a chance of rain. It happens on Memorial Day, happens on 4th of July, happens on Labor Day, happens on Mother's Day, on Father's Day. It's just every single time there's something that comes along to mess it up.
And do you anticipate these percentages increasing?
Yeah,
as
I
the
mean,
week goes
I'm being
on?
conservative right now, and this is where we could do a whole sidebar on this. I come up with my numbers based on confidence and overall coverage area. So right now, my confidence in what's going to happen is on the lower side, and the overall coverage area I feel is on the lower side. So I'm giving it 30%. Now, as we get closer, and I go, okay, hey, it looks like it's going to rain for a lot of us, or I'm feeling more confident it's going to rain, I'll up those percentage values to kind of give that. But I think just right now, putting that in there, just saying, listen, there's a chance. That should be enough for all of us to go, well, okay, I'm planning on X, Y, and Z on this day. If it does rain, what am I going to do?
Some
Have that
contingency
backup,
plans.
Yes, have that backup plan. And I'm sure all the officials who do the various fireworks displays, they're watching this stuff as well. They've got rain out dates on the calendar. They do this every year in it. They know what to do.
Navy Pier is doing their largest ever fireworks display for 250. So you know they are paying very close attention.
And like I say, some places do have the contingency plans. Others, though, it's a rain or shine sort of a deal unless they absolutely cannot do it for some reason. But they have to, because this is the date, this is the budget, this is when this is coming in, and they have to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, just so many plans that are just outside. Now, as you noted, the rain seems to help with the temperature.
Yeah, because you're going to block out the sun, you're going to rain cool the air a little bit, but here's the give and the take. Let's say on one of those days we don't get the rain, then the temperature's probably going to go back up, and the humidity's not going anywhere for a while. So it's one of those, what do you want to deal with? Do you want to deal with heat and humidity? Do you want to deal with a chance for some rain? Because like we look back to yesterday, we had some dying showers over the area, a lot of cloud cover. It kept the temperature lower. So if we can get that at least on one of these days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, lower that temperature, that'll help. Dew point's still going to be up there, but if we can get ourselves out of the 90s and keep ourselves to a heat index closer to, say, 92 or 93, that's better than 100 or 105. So we'll take it.
And then do you anticipate, like the heat wave that we're seeing right now, do you anticipate that coming right back very soon, or that it's going to be okay?
I had a feeling you might ask, how long is this going to go past the weekend? So some of the data I'm seeing suggests that by next Monday, we're still in the lower 80s. But then by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, here comes another bump of heat.
Really?
Yes. And if you really want to get your mind blown for a second, as we get into July and August, we start making our way toward corn sweat season. You probably recall corn sweat from last year.
You know, yes.
It's every year we talk about it.
Yeah.
It's as the corn across the Iowa, Illinois, portions of Missouri area starts to mature, it releases gallons of water into the atmosphere, increasing the dew points.
We're just talking about the fact that just a few weeks ago, it seemed like the fields were empty. And then all of a sudden you're like, boy, that corn came up fast.
Knee high by the 4th of July, as they say.
I mean, it really was a little jarring. Like, where did that come from?
The corn feeds off the heat, feeds off the sunshine, all the recent rain, everything else like that. That's helping the corn crop, and the corn crop will suck up all that moisture out of the ground, and eventually evapotranspiration, it'll put that moisture back into the atmosphere as humidity, and then the longer we get a southwest wind, we're just drawing up all that air, all that corn sweat from areas like Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and it goes right here into our backyard. And then even if you have a breeze, it is like a hair dryer just blowing the heat and humidity in your face, and it's hard to stay cool.
Yeah, yeah. So summer is here. All of that to say,
dove right into it.
Summer is here, and it didn't ease in.
No, it just, hi, I'm here. Where do I put my bags?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, when we look out there, it hasn't been like an overly sunny day.
No. And that's, again, to my point of you don't need that full-on sunny day with the dew points like this. It's that combination of heat and humidity. So you've got some areas, sunny to partly cloudy sky. Other areas, more clouds than sun. But with dew point values above 70, that's just where it gets oppressive. And then again, you've got the higher temperatures, which most of us, I think, are right around 90 to about 92 right now. So
what's the average?
Average high right now is around 84. So we are running a handful of degrees above average. We're trying to make up for what we lost a couple of weeks ago when it was about 10 or 11 degrees below average. So we're always trying to find balance. And now here we go. We're paying the price for those comfortable days that we had.
Wow. How quickly things change.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Every year.
Yeah. Thank you for coming up. I can't say it enough. We just want people to be safe and knowledgeable. Not trying to take the fun out of America's 250th and the 4th of July weekend for everyone, but just we want to be able to do it all over again next year.
We're all stubborn. Oh, I can handle a little heat. Or you don't think about the kids or those that might have a respiratory issue or something like that, and then somebody gets a little flush and they pass out, and suddenly it's an emergency, and now it's a memory you don't want to have for the holidays. So we always preach too, if I can belabor this for a second, drink plenty of water. What is plenty of water?
Right.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
So I was told a long time ago, you should be having a 16-ounce bottle every hour, at least. So do that. Stay hydrated. Drink that water. If you don't feel thirsty, doesn't matter. Drink the water. That'll help. Doesn't fix everything, but it helps.
Yeah, and every little bit helps.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for coming up.
course.
We appreciate it. We'll be checking back in with our meteorologist quite a bit this week, just to make sure that everyone knows what's going on as the week progresses. Let's take a 2-minute break, everyone, before we get into our final discussion here for the day. right, welcome back, everyone. It's 3:45 right now, and while we're waiting on our final guest to join us here for quite the story that I think everyone will really have a heart for, let me tell you about a few of the things that are trending on our website as we're gearing up for our later shows. These are some of the things that people are already kind of looking at and taking note of, and one of them I'll point your attention to is a man that was shot and killed by a food delivery driver. This was outside of an Amazon fulfillment center in Madison. A man that was there, the shooting followed an argument. There was some type of minor physical altercation, according to police, with a food delivery driver in this area, and the suspect drove away, remains at large here. Not sure what the argument was about, but a life was lost as a result of it here last night. So just a bit of what we know, that the police said this happened around 11 p.m., just shy of 11 p.m. last night. And when they heard those shots outside of the Amazon Fulfillment Center, this is on Volmer Road, if you're familiar with the area there in Madison, officers arrived just 3 minutes later. And they found a 26-year-old, his name is Dylan Perkins, who was suffering from multiple gunshot wounds to the torso near the building's front entrance. They tried to revive him, tried to save him, but he died from his injuries there at Olympia Fields Hospital. And so we did get a statement in from Amazon. They do say that this man Perkins, his last name, was a third-party vendor working at the Amazon facility. Just to be very clear, it says that we are saddened by this senseless act of violence and are focused on supporting our employees and the victim's family during this difficult time. But we just have more information here, giving more context as to what we know at this point in time, and anyone with information is asked to contact the Madison Police Department's non-emergency line, non-emergency because this already happened, okay, at 708-503-3130, or you can submit a tip through the Village of Madison's tip 411 system on the village's website. So if you heard anything, if you saw anything, you can remain anonymous, but you can also help a family to get some type of closure with somebody on the run, and to, if this person could be still dangerous, get that person off of the streets as well. Again, this happening last night there in Madison. Our next guest is here, our final guest, and I think with so many people whose families deal with dementia, Alzheimer's, even autism. Well, I think you heard a part of our next pair. This is just so helpful to have these canine teams that can be put to use in so many different ways. And so we're so glad and honored to have Canine Deputy Marty Stortz and Canine Lizzie with us right now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, Lizzie. How old is Lizzie? Tell us a little bit about Lizzie.
So Lizzie is a bloodhound. She is 6 years old. I've had her for about 5 years now. She's my partner at the Will County Sheriff's Office, and her job is to find missing people.
Mm-hmm. And she has done just that recently. A 71-year-old man with dementia who... give us more of the story here. Did he just wander off? Did he get out of a facility, a home? What happened here?
So he left from a residence at about 10:30 at night. It wasn't called in right away. He was traveling with an AirTag. That AirTag was functioning, but it only functions when they're within sight of other people with phones to ping off of. So when we found him, he was not within that. So his last ping was around a hotel. And, excuse me, from that hotel, he wandered away. So at about midnight on that night, I was contacted by the Bolingbrook Police Department. Bolingbrook actually has a bloodhound team. The handler was out of town for training, so they called, and I was the closest one to assist. So me and Lizzie came, got a scent article, and started from the hotel. we ended up finding him.
Wow, what a blessing. And I mean, that happened in the span of 17 minutes. What is it like when you get that phone call?
So it's pretty typical. We're pretty busy in the Chicagoland area. We have probably about 20 hounds in a pretty close proximity. So we all work together as a team. We train together. So getting a call like that, we have a big group message, and if someone's not available to handle a call, we'll post it up in the thing, and first one to kind of respond and head out there. So this one was I was off duty, and I live fairly close to where this occurred, so I was right down the street. So got dressed and got Lizzie from sleeping, and we headed out there. But yeah, very, very typical type of call. We would handle probably about 2 calls a week for this type of incident.
And I'm sure the family is just so grateful for you. I can remember when my grandmother had, God rest her soul, had dementia for many years, and just the one time she was able to get out of a facility, and the angel, really, we say, that happened to find her. I'm sure they probably couldn't even put into words how grateful they were for you all being able to find this man. What was his condition when you all found him?
So after we found him, he did need medical attention. He was responding, just confused of where he was. He ended up. We found him laying in a gravel, patch off of a service road that was not passable for vehicles, so it was kind of closed down. So he was in an area where there wouldn't have been any foot traffic or anything like that.
Wow.
But he did. Bolingbrook Police contacted, and actually Bolingbrook Fire Department was on scene, also working with a drone to try to locate him. So they were on scene right away to give aid.
Yeah. And what do you all do to put Lizzie onto his scent?
So Lizzie is scent specific, so we just need an article of the missing person's clothing. So that could be a shirt, shorts. Sometimes we've used toothbrushes, hair brushes, anything that would have the scent of that person. And then we would give her the scent at the beginning of the trail, and she would be able to just be specific on that scent. So we collected for this specific incident, we collected a jacket that was hanging up in his room, already worn, not laundered. So it already had his scent on it. So we could utilize that. What we do is we take it, we bag it up, and then when we're ready to start the trail, I'll give it to Lizzie, and she'll know what to do.
Does the time period doing this type of search in the dark hinder Lizzie's capability, or perhaps make it easier?
So yeah, actually, perhaps I would say easier. So what actually falls off your body are skin rafts. It's the dead skin cells that she's smelling, and in the sunlight, it'll tend to cook off a lot faster. So at nighttime, it kind of gives us an advantage to be able to, that scent will kind of stick around for a while. She specifically has been trained up to about 24, a little bit more than 24 hours on successful tracking, but that's like perfect conditions, and the weather is a huge variable that we constantly have to deal with.
Wow. And for other families who may have loved ones who could possibly wander off, whether, again, it's Alzheimer's, dementia, autism, the list could go on. What are some of the things that you would advise, or that the office, the department would like people to do to help you all?
So there's a few things that you could do right away, and that would be the tracking devices are fantastic. Technology works until it doesn't, but for the most part, air tags could assist. This at least got us into a certain area of locating. I would say without that, for dogs to show up, we have to have an uncontaminated scent article. So there's a couple ways to do that. One would be having a separate hamper in the household that would keep only that person that's at risk, keep their clothes in one spot. So all of their scent can kind of build up in that one hamper. We also offer a scent jar, and the scent jar is free of cost for Will County residents. And what the scent jar essentially is that gives us that uncontaminated scent article. So it's a jar. It has a gauze pad, and you take the gauze pad, rub it on the person that's at risk, put that gauze pad into the jar, seal it up, and then you would keep that jar at the house in the event that somebody was to go missing. So that would give us an immediate uncontaminated scent article. But the precautionary measures would be to keep a hamper separate, and probably tracking devices would definitely help in that situation.
Well, obviously, our hat's off to you and to Lizzie. I hope she's gotten some good treats for her role in all of this. Thank you so much for what you do and for taking time out for us today. I certainly hope that people will take your words under advisement. Should they ever need your assistance, it sounds like those methods would obviously help tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. I appreciate it.
Stay safe. All right, everyone. Let's take a quick 2-minute break, and we'll be back to close out. Right, everyone. We'll see you this time tomorrow.